The sky over the old mining colony burned red like a wound. Dust rose in thick clouds, hiding the sun and making the air heavy. People stood still, staring at the black shapes of warships above. The Offworlders had arrived without warning. They had not sent a message. They had not asked for peace. They came with fire. From the balcony of the command center, Captain Rana watched the ships descend. Her heart beat like a drum in her chest. She had fought pirates, rebels, even storms of space, but she had never seen warships like these. Their sides glowed with strange symbols, and their weapons hummed like giant insects. Everyone on the colony believed the Offworlders were far away, only a rumor. Now they were here. The colony had only one company of soldiers. They were miners, engineers, and farmers, not fighters. But they had something no one else had: humans who refused to give up. In the square below, Commander Ishan walked among the people, speaking calm words. "Stay in cover. Stay low. Do not panic," he said again and again. His voice was steady, but his eyes were cold with worry. A child pointed at the sky. "Are they monsters?" the child asked. No one answered. The ships landed with a hiss, like snakes. The ground shook. Metal doors opened, and tall figures stepped out. Their armor looked like flowing silver. Their faces were hidden behind masks with glowing eyes. They moved with perfect rhythm, as if one mind guided them. The air around them vibrated with power. For years the Offworlders had claimed battle mastery. They were known across the stars for winning every fight. They crushed armies, burned fleets, and broke whole worlds. They said no one could resist them. But no one had ever fought them like humans would fight. Captain Rana turned to Ishan. "We can't fight them ship to ship," she whispered. "We will lose in seconds." "I know," he said. "But we have something they don't. We have nothing to lose." The Offworlders raised their weapons. A deep voice echoed from their leader's mask. "This colony is now property of the Syndic throne. Kneel and be spared." Nobody kneeled. Even the children stood up straight. A thin wind blew across the square, lifting dust. The leader tilted his head, surprised. "Do you refuse?" Ishan stepped forward. His uniform was torn, his boots covered in red dust. "We are human," he said simply. "We don't kneel." For a heartbeat the world went still. Then the Offworlders fired. A blue beam struck the command center wall, shattering it like paper. People screamed and scattered. But the humans had planned for this. They had studied every landing zone, every street, every tunnel. They had hidden traps under the dust. As soon as the first shots rang out, hidden charges exploded under the Offworlders' feet. 2 of them fell, armor cracked. The rest stumbled. It was not a big victory, but it was a spark. Rana shouted into her radio. "Phase 2. Now." All at once, lights in the colony went dark. Power cut. The air filled with smoke and dust. The humans moved through tunnels like ghosts, striking and disappearing. The Offworlders fired wildly but hit only walls and shadows. They had expected an easy surrender. They had found a maze. In a narrow tunnel, Ishan crouched with a squad of miners holding old rifles. "We are ants," one miner muttered. Ishan shook his head. "No. We are fire." Above, the Offworlder leader stalked through the smoke. His mask glowed brighter. "Primitive tactics," he said. "Futile." Yet inside his chest a flicker of doubt began. These humans fought with no fear. They moved as if the colony itself was alive and on their side. The leader remembered a report from long ago: do not underestimate them. Down below, Rana watched her tablet screen. Red dots, enemy soldiers, moved slowly, trapped in narrow streets. Green dots, her people, flowed around them. It was working. But she also saw new signals. More ships descending. More troops. The colony could not hold forever. "Keep them off balance," she whispered. "Make them bleed time." Outside, the dust storm thickened. The sun vanished behind red clouds. The Offworlders' glowing armor became dim shapes in the gloom. In that moment the humans struck again. Snipers from rooftops, explosives from tunnels, blinding flares. Every blow was small, but every blow was a message. We will not kneel. The leader raised his hand and signaled retreat to regroup. He hated doing it. He had never ordered retreat on any world. But something here was different. These creatures were not fighting for wealth or power. They were fighting for each other. That made them dangerous. Rana stood in the command center ruins, dust in her hair, smoke in her lungs. She felt no joy. She knew this was only the beginning. They had not won. They had only shown the Offworlders that humans were not easy prey. She looked up at the dark sky. More warships were arriving, like black knives cutting through the clouds. She whispered to herself, if we fall fighting. But maybe they will learn fear tonight. Somewhere far above, aboard the flagship, an Offworlder strategist watched the battle feeds. He saw humans in the smoke, their eyes burning, their hands steady. He tapped his claws on the table. They are not like the others, he said softly. They are different. And for the first time in years, the Offworlders wondered if their claim of battle mastery would hold. The night over the colony was black and restless. The Offworlders had pulled back to the landing zone, their silver armor glowing faintly in the dust storm. But their ships did not leave. More came, heavier and darker. The humans inside the tunnels heard the sound of engines like distant thunder. It meant only one thing: the next wave would be worse. Captain Rana sat on the cold floor of a storage room that had become her command post. Her hands trembled slightly as she checked the maps. Around her, volunteers loaded rifles, built barricades, and passed water. No one was speaking loudly. They all knew the storm outside would not hide them forever. The Offworlders would push again soon. Commander Ishan ducked under a low doorway and entered. His face was streaked with dirt, his eyes bright and sharp. We have maybe 2 hours, he said. They're setting up heavy weapons. How many? Rana asked. Too many, Ishan replied. But they're angry. They're making mistakes. Rana nodded. She looked at the tired faces of miners and farmers holding weapons too old for any army. If we fight them head-on, we die, she said. We keep moving. We keep cutting. In the landing zone, the Offworlder leader slammed his fist against a metal crate. Sparks jumped from his armor. Unacceptable, he hissed. These humans hide like vermin. Crush them. His second-in-command shifted uneasily. We underestimated them, he said. Their tunnels, their traps. No excuses, the leader snapped. They will kneel, or they will burn. The humans were listening. Small drones, built from broken mining bots, crept near the enemy camp, sending back images. Rana watched the feed on a cracked tablet. She saw rows of power cells, weapon crates, and glowing shields. But she also saw a weak spot, a line of fuel tanks near the edge of the zone, guarded by only 2 soldiers. She leaned close to Ishan. If we can light those tanks, we can slow them. Maybe force them to retreat. It's suicide, Ishan said quietly. Maybe, Rana answered. But we don't have another chance. Ishan thought for a moment, then nodded. I'll lead it. The plan was simple but dangerous. A small team would crawl through the outer tunnels, emerge behind the landing zone, and plant charges on the tanks. They would have only minutes before detection. If the tanks blew, the Offworlders' advance would stall. If not, the humans inside the tunnels would be trapped. When the moment came, Ishan moved with 3 volunteers, a young miner named Syra, a former engineer named Malik, and a silent old man who had lost his family in the first strike. They painted their faces with dust, carried only light weapons, and crawled into the dark. Above ground, the storm raged. The Offworlders moved like silver ghosts between their ships. They did not expect an attack from behind. They were already planning their next push. Heavy cannons were being assembled, glowing blue in the dark. In the tunnels, Rana listened to Ishan's voice over the radio. "We're in position," he whispered. 3 minutes. Her heart pounded. She could almost see them in her mind, shadows creeping under the enemy's nose. She whispered a small prayer to no one. Ishan and his team reached the tanks. They were huge cylinders humming with power. The guards stood with their backs to the storm, unaware. Syra slipped behind one, striking quick with a knife. Malik planted the first charge. The old man planted the second. Ishan set the timer. Then a voice behind them. "Stop." An offworlder stood at the edge of the tanks, his mask glowing. He raised his weapon. "Surrender." For a heartbeat no one moved. Then Ishan lunged. The weapon fired, blue light slicing the air. Pain burned across Ishan's shoulder, but he kept moving, ramming the offworlder into a tank. Syra fired her rifle. The mask shattered. The offworlder fell. "Charges set." Malik shouted. They ran. The storm swallowed them. Behind them, the tanks glowed brighter and brighter. Rana saw the feed on her tablet cut out. Then a flash of white light. The ground shook. A wall of fire rolled across the landing zone. In the chaos, the humans struck again. Small teams poured from hidden exits, firing, throwing grenades, then vanishing. The offworlders stumbled, shields flickering. One of their ships tilted as the blast hit its engines. Inside the tunnels, Rana felt the shockwave. Dust rained from the ceiling. "Ishan," she called. Static. "Ishan, answer me." A weak voice came back. "We're alive. Coming home." Relief washed through her. She looked at the map again. The landing zone was a mess. They had done it. But the victory was not clean. In the wreckage of the fuel tanks, the offworlder leader stood, his armor scorched, his mask cracked, but his eyes burning bright. He stared at the fire and clenched his fists. "Enough," he growled. "Bring the juggernaut." His second-in-command hesitated. "The juggernaut? It is not ready." "Bring it," the leader said. "We end this tonight." Far above, a shadow moved in orbit, a massive shape hidden behind the warships. It began to descend slowly, blocking out the stars. Rana didn't know yet what was coming. She only knew the air felt heavier, like a storm about to break. She turned to her people. "We made them bleed," she said. "But this is not over. It's just begun." Somewhere in the tunnels, Ishan heard the sound of distant engines far deeper and heavier than before. He looked at his team, faces pale in the dark. "They're bringing something big," he said softly. And in the black sky above the colony, the juggernaut's shadow grew larger, falling like a mountain from the stars. The ground trembled as something huge came down from the sky. The juggernaut was not like the other ships. It was a black giant, shaped like a hammerhead, with glowing red scars across its armor. It did not land gently. It smashed into the earth and made a crater, sending a wave of dust over the colony. Even the offworlders took a step back when they saw it. Deep underground, the humans felt the tremor. Walls shook. Dust fell from ceilings. Captain Rana looked at the map, but there was no mark for this. She had planned for many things, but not for a walking fortress. "What is it?" a miner whispered. "I don't know," Rana said. Her voice was low but steady. "But it's bigger than anything we've seen." Commander Ishan sat against a tunnel wall, his shoulder still burned from the last fight. He listened to the engines above. They were slow, heavy, like a giant heartbeat. "They're sending a monster," he said. Outside, the juggernaut opened like a flower of steel. Its sides unfolded and a ramp fell down. From within came a machine that looked like a beast of war. 6 legs, spiked armor, weapons glowing blue at every joint. Its eyes were 2 red lights, sweeping the dust. It moved forward with a sound like grinding stone. The offworlder leader raised his arm. "Advance," he ordered. "Drive them from their holes." The machine fired. Blue bolts smashed into the colony's outer walls, turning metal to liquid. Buildings fell. The tunnels shook again. Panic spread among the civilians. Rana took a deep breath. "We hold," she told her people. "We hold no matter what." But inside, fear clawed at her. This was not a squad of soldiers. This was a siege engine built to crush cities. Ishan crawled to her side. "We can't fight it with rifles," he said. "We need to be clever." Rana nodded. "Then we'll be clever." She studied the screen. The juggernaut was heavy. It moved on 6 legs. Each leg crushed the ground like a piledriver. It had power cores under the armor, glowing faintly. If they could reach the cores, they could break it. But how? Its armor was too thick for grenades, and its weapons could burn a tunnel open in seconds. "We lure it," Rana said at last. "Into the old mine." Ishan looked at her. "The mine is unstable." "Exactly," she said. "If we bring it inside and bring the roof down, maybe it stays buried." It was a desperate plan, but it was all they had. The humans moved quickly. Volunteers went ahead to clear a path, planting charges along the ceiling. Others laid false trails to make the juggernaut follow. In the dust storm above, the machine hunted, its sensors sweeping for heat. It found nothing but empty alleys. The humans had already vanished underground. The Offworlder leader strode beside the machine, mask cracked but eyes burning. "Do not let them escape," he snarled. "Flush them out." The juggernaut followed the heat traces the humans had left on purpose. Step by step, it moved toward the old mine entrance, a dark hole in the ground reinforced by rusty beams. To the machine, it looked like another tunnel to burn open. It lowered its front cannons and fired. The entrance collapsed inward, but the humans had already made side passages for themselves. Like water, they flowed around the machine. In the dark of the mine, Syra and Malik worked fast, setting the last charges on the beams. "Are you sure this will hold?" Malik asked. "No," Syra whispered. "But we have to try." Outside, Rana watched from a cracked window. The juggernaut reached the mine entrance and pushed deeper, its legs scraping against stone. Sparks fell. Dust rose. The machine roared, weapons glowing brighter. It was inside. "Now," Rana said. Ishan triggered the first charges. Boom. The ceiling shook. Rocks fell around the machine. It kept moving, forcing its way forward. Second charge. Boom. Beams bent. Dust poured down. The machine stumbled but did not fall. "It's not enough," Syra said. "It's too strong." "Then we bring it all down," Ishan said. He ran forward, deeper into the mine, toward the last support pillar. His shoulder burned, but he kept going. He planted his last charge and set the timer to seconds, not minutes. Then he turned and ran. The ceiling cracked with a sound like thunder. Massive slabs of rock fell onto the juggernaut. Its red eyes flickered. It roared, a deep metal sound. More rock fell. The glow of its weapons dimmed. Above ground, the Offworlder leader felt the tremor. He turned toward the mine entrance. Dust and smoke rose like a volcano. For the first time, he did not see his machine emerge. In the tunnels, Rana waited, holding her breath. The ground shook once, twice, then stopped. Silence. Ishan stumbled into the light, covered in dust, coughing. "It's down," he gasped. "We buried it." For a moment, everyone stared. Then cheers erupted, echoing through the tunnels. They had done it. They had buried the monster. But Rana did not smile. She looked at the dark entrance of the mine, at the dust rising. "It's not over," she whispered. "Machines can dig. They can climb." Far above, in orbit, new signals appeared on the strategist's screen. Reinforcements were coming, larger ships with darker weapons. He watched the feed of the juggernaut buried under rock. "Interesting," he said softly. "They fight like no others." And on the surface, under the crushed mine, the juggernaut's red eyes flickered once more in the dark. Dust still drifted from the old mine, rising like smoke from a wound. The humans waited in the tunnels, every ear straining. For long minutes there was only silence. No engines. No footsteps. Only the faint groan of crushed rock settling deeper. Some people began to smile, whispering, "It's over. We beat it." Captain Rana did not smile. She stood with her hands on the table, staring at the map. "It's never over that easy," she said softly. Her eyes kept flicking to the mine entrance. "Machines don't die like men." Commander Ishan leaned against a wall, bandaged shoulder stiff. "We buried it," he said. "Nothing can move under that much rock." "Nothing we know," Rana answered. Above ground, the Offworlder leader walked among his troops. The air was thick with red dust and the smell of burnt fuel. He stood at the edge of the crater that used to be a mine entrance. His cracked mask hissed as he breathed. Around him, soldiers whispered uneasily. No one had ever seen their juggernaut fall. "Dig," the leader ordered. His second-in-command hesitated. "Sir, more ships are coming." "Should we dig?" the leader repeated. His voice was low but sharp as a blade. "It is not destroyed. It waits." Back in the tunnels, the humans tried to regroup. People were tired, thirsty, frightened. Children clung to their parents. Miners patched walls with whatever metal they could find. But hope was in their eyes now. They had struck the Offworlders again. They had shown themselves and each other that even giants could be hurt. Syra sat on the floor, cleaning her rifle with trembling hands. "Do you think they'll leave now?" she asked Malik. He shook his head slowly. "No. They're like rust. They don't stop until everything is theirs." Overhead, the storm outside shifted. The red sky turned darker, almost black. Lightning flickered without sound. New shapes appeared far above, larger warships sliding out of the clouds, their hulls patterned with scars from old battles. They hung there, silent and heavy, like predators waiting for a signal. Rana watched the shapes through a cracked periscope. "More are coming," she whispered. "Bigger ones." Ishan came to her side. "How long can we hold?" She looked at him, dust streaked across her face. "Hours. Maybe less." In the crater above, the Offworlders' digging machines began to chew at the rock. Their claws spun and hissed. Dust rose higher. The juggernaut's red eyes flickered under the rubble. Slowly, like a buried beast waking, it began to move. The humans heard it first as a faint tremor. Pebbles rolled across tunnel floors. Cups rattled. The sound grew louder, deeper, like drums. People froze. Rana's eyes widened. "It's alive," she said. Before anyone could speak, the ground near the mine cracked. A metal claw punched through rock, then another. The juggernaut's head burst out, armor dented but glowing. It roared, a sound of grinding steel. Dust exploded into the sky. "They're bringing it back," Ishan said. "And we have nothing left." Rana turned to him. "We have one thing left. We have them." He frowned. "Them." She looked at the civilians crowding the tunnels. Miners, farmers, children. "We're not just hiding. We're fighting for all of us. Every mind, every hand. If they want to crush us, they'll have to fight everyone." She grabbed the radio and spoke, her voice echoing through the tunnels. "All units. All people. This is Captain Rana. The Juggernaut is coming again. There is nowhere left to run. But we are still here. We fight now, together." Voices answered her from every tunnel. "We're with you. We're ready. We won't kneel." Above ground, the Offworlder leader watched his machine climb from the rubble. Its armor was scarred, its weapons flickered, but it still moved. He lifted his arm. "Advance," he said. "Burn them out." The Juggernaut moved forward again, slower but angrier, its red eyes sweeping. Behind it, rows of Offworlder troops followed, shields raised, weapons ready. The warships above shifted position, their cannons glowing faintly. In the tunnels, the humans began their last plan. They turned every hallway into a trap, every room into a nest. They poured flammable liquid into cracks, set hidden charges, armed old mining drills as weapons. Children carried messages. Old men held rifles. No one hid now. Ishan checked his rifle, then looked at Rana. "We can't kill it," he said. "We can only make it hurt." "That's enough," she replied. "Every second we hold them, someone out there sees. Someone learns. We are not silent." The tremor grew louder. Dust fell from the ceiling like rain. Lights flickered. Then, at the far end of the tunnel, two red eyes appeared, glowing in the dark. Rana raised her weapon. "Ready," she whispered. All around her, humans raised theirs too. The air was hot, tense, full of breathing and fear. The Juggernaut's shadow filled the passage. Its weapons hummed, charging. In the silence before the first shot, a strange sound echoed down the tunnel, static on a radio, then a voice not from the colony. "This is Fleet Outpost Sigma. We received your signal." Rana's eyes widened. "Repeat." "We received your signal," the voice said again, clearer now. "Help is coming." The tunnel shook as the Juggernaut stepped forward, weapons glowing. But above the colony, far beyond the storm, something else moved in the dark sky. New shapes not of the Offworlders. Engines burned blue, bright as stars, cutting through the black. The tunnel shook like a drum as the Juggernaut pushed forward. Red eyes glowed brighter. Weapons hummed. Dust filled the air. Humans crouched behind sandbags, rifles trembling in their hands. They expected the blast that would end them. Instead, above the colony, the sky ripped open with blue light. Through the red storm, shapes appeared, sleek ships, small and fast, with bright engines. They cut through the clouds like knives of light. Their hulls bore no symbols of the Offworlders. They were human ships. In the tunnels, Captain Rana stared at the static-filled radio. "Identify yourself," she demanded. The voice came back, steady and clear. "This is Commander Kale of Fleet Outpost Sigma. We received your distress call 3 days ago. Hold your positions. Help is here." Rana's heart leapt. For a second she let herself believe. "We're holding," she said. "We're still alive." Commander Ishan gripped his rifle tighter. "Then we fight until they get here," he said. Above ground, the Offworlder leader turned his mask toward the sky. Blue streaks crossed the clouds. He hissed. "More humans," he said. "Irrelevant. Crush the ground forces before they arrive." He raised his arm. The Juggernaut roared and stepped forward again. Its cannons flared. Deep in the tunnels, Rana shouted, "Fire!" Dozens of hidden charges went off at once. Flame and shrapnel tore at the machine's legs. It staggered but kept moving. It fired back. Blue beams ripped through walls, blasting holes, turning stone to glass. Humans dove for cover. Screams echoed. "Hold them!" Ishan yelled. "Just hold them!" Syra threw a flare, blinding the machine's sensors for a second. Malik used that second to fire a drill gun, a mining tool adapted into a weapon, at one of the Juggernaut's joints. Sparks flew. Armor cracked slightly. It was not enough, but it slowed the monster. Above, the new human ships broke through the clouds. They were not big warships, but strike craft, fast, armed with rail cannons. They dove at the Offworlder landing zone, firing bursts of metal slugs that ripped through crates and shields. Explosions bloomed. Offworlder troops scattered, some retreating toward their ships. The ground shook from the impacts. In the tunnels, people heard the thunder of weapons above and cheered. For the first time since the invasion began, the sky fought on their side. Commander Kale's voice came again over the radio. "We are engaging their air forces. We can't land yet. You must keep the tunnels intact. We need a landing zone." Rana wiped dust from her face. "Understood," she said. She turned to Ishan. We hold, no matter what. If we break now, they'll land on top of us. Ishan nodded grimly. Then we hold. The juggernaut roared, shaking the tunnel walls. It pushed deeper, forcing its huge body into the narrow space. Red eyes scanned, weapons glowing. Humans fired from every corner, grenades and bullets sparking against its armor. The air grew thick with smoke and heat. Focus the joints, Rana shouted. Hit where it bends. They obeyed. Miners with drill guns, farmers with rifles, children throwing improvised firebombs. Every blow was small, but together they made the juggernaut stumble. One leg jammed. Another sparked. It screeched like metal tearing. Above, the Offworlder leader saw his troops faltering. Blue streaks of human strike craft dove again, hammering his landing zone. One of his smaller warships exploded, pieces raining down like dark stars. He clenched his fists. Signal the fleet, he snapped. Prepare orbital fire. His second-in-command stared at him. Sir, their ships are faster. Do it, the leader roared. In orbit, massive Offworlder guns began to charge, drawing energy from the stars. If they fired, the colony and everything in it would be ash. Down in the tunnels, Rana's radio crackled again. This is Kale, the voice said urgently. They're charging orbital weapons. We'll try to disrupt them. You must get your people deeper underground. Now. Rana looked around at the faces of her people. Dusty, bruised, but still fighting. We can't run, she said. If we leave now, they'll hit us before we reach safety. We have to stop the juggernaut here. Ishan met her eyes. Then we stop it. He reached for a heavy pack on his back. Inside were the last of their explosives, meant for mining, powerful enough to crack bedrock. I'll plant it under its core, he said. Rana's face tightened. You won't come back. Maybe not, Ishan said. But someone has to do it. Before she could answer, the juggernaut's cannons fired again, blowing apart a barricade. Dust and flame filled the tunnel. People screamed. Syra grabbed Ishan's arm. You won't go alone, she said. No, he said. Stay. Protect them. Then he ran into the smoke. The juggernaut's red eyes turned, locking on him. It charged. Ishan dove under its legs, rolling through dust and fire. He planted the pack against the glowing core at its belly. Sparks burned his hands. He hit the detonator and scrambled back. The explosion shook the tunnel like an earthquake. Flame roared out, swallowing the machine's midsection. Armor cracked. Red eyes flickered and went dark. The juggernaut collapsed, smashing into the tunnel floor, blocking the passage. Humans stared at the fallen giant, stunned. Ishan crawled out of the smoke, coughing, his face burned but alive. It's down, he gasped. For real this time. Cheers erupted, echoing through the tunnels like thunder. Above, the Offworlder leader watched the juggernaut's signal vanish from his display. For the first time, his hand trembled. And above him, human strike craft darted between warships, their rail cannons glowing bright. The sky was now a battlefield, red and blue fire crossing. Reinforcements were still coming. Deep in the tunnels, Rana helped Ishan to his feet. You did it, she said. He shook his head weakly. We all did. Outside, the red storm began to break. Through the clouds, stars appeared, and among them the sharp shapes of more human ships arriving, engines burning blue. The red storm finally tore open. Blue engines streaked across the sky like comets. More human ships came, bigger than the strike craft before. Their hulls were dark gray, their lights sharp and cold. They moved with purpose, falling into formation over the colony. In the tunnels, Captain Rana stared up through a crack in the roof. She could see flashes of light in the sky. Rail cannon fire. Missiles. Explosions like silent stars. For the first time, the humans below were not alone. Commander Ishan sat against a wall, still weak but alive. His burns were wrapped. Children brought him water. He took it with a shaky hand. They came, he murmured. We called, and they came. Above, Commander Kale's fleet dove at the Offworlder warships. Smaller human craft darted in and out like knives, firing at weak points. Larger frigates moved slower but hit harder, their guns pounding the enemy shields. Blue and red beams crossed. Pieces of metal spun away, burning in the atmosphere. On the ground, the Offworlder leader watched his display. More human signals appeared every second. He slammed his fist against the console. I told you to crush them before reinforcements arrived, he hissed at his second-in-command. They fight like fire, the second said softly. They spread. The leader glared at the sky. Then we burn the fire to ash. Ready the orbital strike. Above the colony, one of the largest Offworlder ships tilted, exposing a weapon like a glowing spear. Energy gathered at its tip, pulsing brighter and brighter. If it fired, the colony would be gone in an instant. Down in the tunnels, Rana's radio crackled. This is Kale, the voice said urgently. They're charging a planet killer. We can't break their shields in time. We need you to disable their ground control or we all burn. Rana looked at Ishan. His face was pale but his eyes steady. Where is it? He asked. Kale's voice came again. A relay node near your location. It sends targeting data to their ship. If you destroy it, the strike won't hit. How long do we have? Rana asked. Minutes, Kale replied. Rana turned to her people. All units. We have one last task. We take that relay, or we die. A small group volunteered at once. Syra, Malik, 3 miners, 2 engineers. Ishan tried to stand. I'm coming too, he said. Rana caught his arm. You can barely walk. I can still shoot, he said. She looked at him for a moment, then nodded. Then let's go. They moved fast through side tunnels, following Kale's coordinates. The relay was hidden in an old processing plant above ground, now covered in Offworlder equipment. Its antennas glowed faint blue, sending streams of data to the sky. 2 squads of Offworlder soldiers guarded it, their armor still clean, their weapons humming. Rana crouched behind a broken wall, studying the pattern. We can't fight them straight, she whispered. We'll have to cut power. Malik nodded. I can overload the generator. But someone has to cover me. Ishan checked his rifle. We cover you. They crept forward through the ruins, silent as ghosts. Syra threw a rock to draw one guard's attention. Malik slipped past to the generator, his fingers moving fast. Wires sparked under his hands. One Offworlder turned, sensing movement. Its glowing eyes narrowed. It raised its weapon. Rana fired first, a sharp crack echoing. The guard fell. Alarms blared. Now! Rana shouted. The humans burst from cover, firing. Blue beams tore the air. Bullets and rail slugs struck armor. Sparks flew. The Offworlders fired back, their shots burning holes in walls. Dust filled the plant. Malik yanked a final wire. Power going down. The antennas flickered, then went dark. A hiss like a dying animal rose from the machine. Signal lost, a cold voice said from one of the Offworlder masks. Above the colony, the glowing spear on the Offworlder warship faltered. The energy at its tip sputtered, then faded. The planet killer went dark. Human ships dove on it at once, rail cannons hammering. Its shields cracked. An explosion bloomed, lighting the sky. In the plant, Syra fired until her rifle clicked empty. Rana pulled her back. Fall back, she shouted. They ran through the dust as more Offworlders poured in. Ishan limped behind them, firing over his shoulder. Malik was last, his hands burned from the generator. They tumbled back into the tunnels just as a blue blast tore the plant apart. Rocks and dust rained down. The ground shook. But they were alive. Above, the sky blazed with battle. Human frigates punched holes in off-worlder formations. Strike craft ripped through enemy wings. Another off-worlder ship exploded, its pieces scattering like dark rain. In the tunnels, Rana pressed her radio. "Kale," she said. "The relay is down. Finish them." Kale's voice came back, grim but steady. "We're already on it." The humans underground listened as the thunder in the sky grew louder. The colony walls shook from distant explosions. Dust drifted from the ceiling like ash. But now the sound meant something different. It was not doom. It was a fight they might actually win. Rana sat against the tunnel wall, breathing hard. "We're still here," she whispered. Ishan leaned beside her, weapon across his knees. "For now," he said. "But it's not over until they run." Far above, the off-worlder leader stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching his fleet break apart. His mask was cracked completely now, exposing pale skin beneath. His eyes burned not with anger but with something colder, fear. He turned to his second-in-command. "They do not fight for power," he said softly. "They fight for each other. And that makes them dangerous," the second said. The leader looked back at the burning sky. "It makes them unstoppable," he whispered. And below, in the tunnels, humans raised their heads as the roar of engines and the flash of rail cannons lit the clouds. The battle was far from finished, but for the first time the off-worlders were not sure they could win. The sky over the colony was no longer red. It burned blue and white with fire from hundreds of engines. Human ships filled the heavens now, weaving between beams of light, striking like hawks at the off-worlder fleet. Each explosion was a new star above the dust. Down below, in the tunnels, Captain Rana stood with a radio pressed to her ear. Static hissed. Then Commander Kale's voice cut through. "This is it. We're breaking them. One last push." She looked at Ishan. His uniform was torn, his burns bandaged, but his eyes were steady. Around them, miners and farmers clutched rifles. Children carried water and messages. No one hid anymore. They were ready. Above, the off-worlder leader stood on the bridge of his flagship. The great ship shuddered under repeated strikes. His fleet was broken into pieces, shields gone, weapons failing. He stared at the display, at hundreds of tiny human signals moving like a swarm. "Impossible," he whispered. "No one fights us like this." His second-in-command spoke quietly. "We should retreat." The leader's hands clenched. He had never ordered retreat. "They will know fear," he muttered. "I will make them kneel." He signaled for all remaining forces to converge on the colony. Even in defeat, he wanted a final blow. In the tunnels, alarms rang. Distant thumps shook the walls. Syra ran in. "They're coming," she said. "All of them." Rana closed her eyes for one heartbeat. Then she raised her voice so every passage heard it. "This is our home. They want to break us. We hold until the sky is ours." A cheer rolled down the tunnels. It was not loud or polished. It was rough, angry, alive. Outside, the off-worlders rushed the surface with what troops remained. Their armor was cracked, their lines uneven, but still they came. Behind them the leader's flagship dipped lower, huge cannons glowing for one last strike. Kale's voice snapped over the radio. "We can finish the flagship, but its shields are still too strong. We need the colony's guns." Rana looked around. The colony had no real guns, just mining lasers and power cells. But then she remembered the deep core drill, a machine built to pierce rock a kilometer thick. She grabbed Ishan's arm. "The drill. We can aim it at the sky." He blinked. "It's a mining tool." "It's a weapon now," she said. Engineers ran to the drill, tearing off safety panels, rerouting power from every battery in the colony. Sparks showered the floor. Cables hissed. The drill's long shaft began to glow a dull orange. Kale counted down. 30 seconds. "We're moving the fleet to draw its shields. When you see the opening, fire." Rana stood at the controls. Her hands shook. She had spent her life digging for, or, not firing at warships. But she steadied her breath. "For all of us," she whispered. Above, the human fleet swarmed the flagship, rail cannons hammering its shields. Blue beams cracked across its hull. Explosions rolled like thunder. At last, a section of its shield flickered and went dark. "Now!" Kale shouted. Rana slammed the control. The drill's core flared bright and spat a beam of orange light upward, straight through the cracked section of shield. It cut into the flagship's belly like a torch through ice. Metal screamed. Fire burst from the wound. The ship trembled. On the bridge, the Offworlder leader staggered. Panels exploded around him. "Impossible," he whispered again. For the first time he felt real fear. "They are only..." But the word never finished. Light swallowed the bridge. From the tunnels, the humans watched through cracks as the flagship's great shape tilted, broke apart, and fell. It struck the ground far beyond the colony, a mountain of fire and smoke. Silence followed. Then, from the sky, off-worlder ships began to turn away one by one. Some limped into orbit, some simply powered down. Their formation collapsed. The invasion was over. In the tunnels, people stared at each other. Slowly, they began to laugh, to cry, to shout. The sound rolled through the underground like a rising tide. Rana stepped away from the drill, her hands black with soot. She looked at Ishan. "We're still here," she said. He gave a tired smile. "We made them run." Above, human ships circled, lights flashing signals of victory. Commander Kale's voice came over the radio, softer now. "The colony stands. We're sending medics and supplies. Hold on. You're not alone anymore." Rana sank to the floor, leaning back against the wall. For the first time since the sky turned red, she let herself breathe. Around her, children ran and laughed in the dust. People hugged each other. The colony was broken, but alive. Far beyond the clouds, fragments of off-worlder ships drifted in space. Messages flashed between them, warnings, reports, fear. For the first time, the masters of battle spoke of retreat, of caution, of humans. And in the deep sky, other colonies listened to the broadcasts. They heard how a single plea for help brought a fleet. They heard how ordinary people fought giants and won. They began to whisper, "If humans fight together, the stars themselves shake." Captain Rana closed her eyes. She could still feel the tremor of engines above, the heat of the drill, the roar of the crowd. "It's not over," she murmured. "It's only the beginning." Somewhere in orbit, Commander Kale looked at the wreck of the flagship and said the same words to his crew. "It's only the beginning." And the stars, once cold and distant, now seemed a little closer, a little brighter, as humanity prepared to rise.